Mr. Mark, would you be so kind? Would you be so kind? Open prayer, all right?
Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to gather and to do business here for the people of Rich Township. And we ask that you would direct us with your wisdom and your counsel as we move forward. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mark. Any brief
Excuse
public
me a
comment?
minute, I personally don't agree with this what happened.
Okay.
This is not the place to be held.
Okay.
Whatever your beliefs are is
That's
fine.
fine.
This is a public forum.
Okay, that's
Nobody
fine.
be-
And we'll discuss that later, but I'm gonna continue to do it, sorry. All right. And I will talk to you about it later.
No, you won't.
All right? Anybody else have any brief public comments they'd like to make? All right. County Commissioner's not here.
Still on vacation, I think.
And I spoke to him.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, we have an agenda. Do we have a chance to look it over?
Yes, and I too am going to object to the agenda and do not approve of the opening prayer. Only because everybody has different beliefs and has different religions. Now, wait a minute.
No, I'm fine.
And I don't think it's fair that we do this when we're not asking every religion out there to say their prayer. Every religion and their beliefs, Dave, now come on. Now, this is not the forum to be doing that, nor is politics for that matter. But I don't agree with it. I'm offended by it, okay? And I don't think it should be on the agenda, and that's my opinion. So that's why I'm objecting to the agenda, because it's not the place for it.
Okay. We've been doing this for over 2 years. This is the first I've heard of it, so I will take that into consideration. We are not restrictive towards any religion, anybody that wants to come in here and say it. We all call the same God as a God. And he didn't mention any specific God. He didn't mention Jesus. He didn't mention Muhammad. He didn't mention anybody. It was an opening prayer to the general public. So this was not a Christian, although Mark is a Christian, this was not a Christian prayer. It was a Christian prayer, but it's not restricted to just Christianity. It was more of a prayer towards this township than anything else. Would you agree with that, Mark?
Yes.
But I will take that into consideration, maybe,
I've been to other meetings, I've talked to other people, and maybe some townships do it, but we didn't used to do it, and then all of a sudden, we started doing it, okay? And I personally take offense to it, because this is not the time for that. We're here for something else. And I know everybody wants to pray everywhere, you know, you can pray in your car on the way here, you can pray when you leave, you know, you can sit there and do it in your own personal time. But this is not the time or the place to be doing
I'm reasonably certain this country was built on
That's right.
Christian
That's-
prayer.
it. I know,
And
but
this is what
Fear
government
God back
needed.
into
but
people.
I
If you don't
Personally-
believe, don't pray.
I
If the
didn't say I didn't
majority-
believe, did I say that? Did I say that?
No, you didn't say
No.
that, but this is
I
very
said, but we
offensive to
never
me that
used
you
to
were
do it.
offended by it.
We
Yeah,
never used to do it,
exactly.
and
That's
now,
what I'm
and
at.
over 6 years.
Well,
I've
you
been
will be
here.
off this board.
Fine,
End of it.
I don't care.
all right,
Fine.
that's the end of this
This is a
discussion.
conservative
We'll
community.
discuss this at a later
Anybody
time.
that disagrees with it,
So,
I
then we
will
should let
personally make sure
everybody
that
say
every
their
single
prayer
person in
their
here that
religion.
does that will be
Then
out.
everybody should be able to say their certain prayer they want to pray.
Then that's
for
the way
every
you need to
religion.
open it up.
And then we'll take the time and do that.
That's the new way you need to
Okay.
open it up, because I'm sick and
So,
tired
I
of
wanna bring in
all of
Dale.
this.
Well, I'm sick and tired of it too.
Well,
I mean, we definitely got
There's-
time for that, but we don't have time to fix anything around here, right?
well,
Well,
Right.
Let's talk
Right.
about fixing.
I'm
it.
not talking about fixing anything.
Let's
I
talk-
know, because nothing ever gets fixed.
Okay,
There's a-
so
should be a
with that in
meeting
mind,
board.
Cindy, let's table it for right now. Pam, did you want to say something real quick about this, or?
No.
Okay, let's table it for right now, and we can have a discussion about it. People are offended, I understand that. That's unfortunate they are. But, enough said with that, unless somebody else has something else. Bernie, you have something you'd like to say about that?
No.
No? You're reluctant to mention anything in reference to that?
I don't have an issue with it.
Okay. Well, that's good we agree on that, right?
Pardon me?
It's good we agree on that? Okay, minutes, March meeting. So we had a chance to look them over?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, we make a motion that we approve the minutes to March meeting. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Treasurer's report, are you gonna take care of that, Pam?
Yes.
As you can see, Gary is not here, he's out of town. That's why he is not here.
Okay, for the general fund, the profit and loss report. We had $28,650.28 income and $18,843.31 expense. That's the general fund. And the cemetery fund, profit and loss was $1,885.94. Income, expenses $1,448.99.
Thank you, Pam, for that information. Taking over for Gary helping us out. Make a motion that we accept the treasury report as presented by our clerk.
I'll make a motion to accept.
And a second, all in favor? We also had checks number 13,939 through checks 13,957 that were written and presented to us. I will make a motion that we paid as presented. Can we give a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Thank you. Unfinished business. You need to paint the pavilion out there. The posts and the doors, and just to make sure these things are done. We have to wait for the weather to turn to make sure that it's done the right time. That does need to be done.
The bugs are gone.
Yeah. No, we gotta talk about bugs too. We have yet to actually utilize that storage for the pavilion. Gary has a lot of stuff. We have stuff at the cemetery, we have stuff at in Gary's basement, and there's really no reason for that. Some of this stuff is 20, 30, 40 years old, which probably will never be ever looked at again, but we need to keep it, maintain it for ever, I guess. So, due to the fact that we have all this stuff, I'd like to utilize that. I've talked about building shelves, but I think that if we go to Home Depot, we can purchase some nice metal shelves and just put those things on there, clear up the cemetery is not the place to have.
No, I've always worried about them there.
It's just not right, so.
There's a couple nice cabinets
Well,
over
we can-
there.
let's just-
move the whole.
Yeah, we can do that too. I just have to recruit somebody to give me a hand with it, but, yeah, we can do that. But I think we should start thinking about somehow getting that. Also, I wanna bug-proof the pavilion. I've kinda talked about that. I think that putting some, treated wood down on the floor, securing it with some, with a gun, maybe some, insulation, some foam or something. We've talked about it, but I think we need to do that once the weather turns, so just bringing it up again that we've already talked about it.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if you got those, but I think they're, I don't know, some kind of tree field is at my house, it's, my doors get just
I
black.
think those are those road shapers. I think that's
What are
they're-
they?
Are they road shapers, Gary?
Box elders.
Box elders?
After the weather
Yeah, they
changes,
come out.
it
It's amazing.
probably will only have mosquitoes that are really bothering out there. It shouldn't spray, it shouldn't help.
Spraying with soap and water. That'll kill 'em.
That's it? Soap and water?
Soapy water.
Yeah, Dawn dish soap mixed with water.
I've got a,
Simple spray on?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've got a bottle of the insecticide that Orkin and Rose uses. You can order it right offline, 1 ounce per gallon, and it kills everything. Box elder beetles, spiders, ants, you name it.
Hard of living in the country, but I get it. And they seem to be the first ones and the most prevalent out. All right, anyway, with that in mind, code enforcement issues, we still got a lot of issues with some letters, nobody seems to mind, or pay attention, so I've just spoke to Ron, kind of tentatively talked about next Wednesday doing something, but I would prefer Thursday if, Ron is good with that. And we've talked about that. So we've got issues, gotta get them taken care of.
No one responded to your letter for the containers? Did you give them a time frame or anything? I read it, I don't remember
I
the time frame.
don't remember either, I don't believe that I gave it time frame, so.
There was several.
Next is, excuse me, next is me going right to the door, not gonna do that.
And then maybe issue them a citation. Sometimes when you hit the pocketbook, it'll.
Oh, yeah, well, that's obviously.
Gary's got a family member living right across the street from the one down there, right?
I'm sorry?
That girl's family member has to look at that container?
I don't think that's Gary's.
That's not his farm, right there, across the street from that.
Darren, she's talking about Darlene.
Darlene, yeah,
Darlene.
that's a family member. He's got a family member that has to look at that every day.
Oh, I thought you said he, okay, yes, Darlene has to look at it, sure.
Yeah, it's been there a while.
Yeah, I looked at it, still look today too.
Yeah, I know.
So, and it looks like there's other junk going off around there too.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Just kind of, it's starting to get a little trash. So, Ron and I will be working on that whenever we can get together. We also had an inspection on this building. And Ron, you wanna just take over with this and kinda, Gary, you know anything? You guys can talk about what we learned.
If I miss it, you hit it. And we put pictures of the inspector, last month, the board asked the planning commission to do an inspection or get this hall checked out, see if it's worth saving or not, okay? So, the pictures that the inspector took are right there on the table. First off, we started with the septic system. It was put in here in 1972. It's 51 years old. Nobody has any maintenance records on when it was ever pumped. I don't know. Nobody seems to know. So that's gonna be an issue, okay? So we hired a commercial inspector, and he did kind of a walk-around inspection, because commercial inspections cost $3,000. He charges $300 to come do the thermal test. And what we did is, right over here, I think this is the window, we left it. Is this the right one, Gary?
Yeah.
Oh, right here. We did a boring right here to see what we had, okay? And it's a block wall with a 2x2, and they took 3-inch insulation and packed it in there, which collapsed it all, so you have very, very little. There's no insulation on the outside at all. There's pieces of siding missing, and you can see that there's nothing there. So you got a block wall. If that was the only issue was insulation, you might be able to remedy it somehow. But he did a little walk around for us. This floor here is sagged, both sides, and this floor is breaking up. You can see in the carpet where the whole floor is heaved. The floors are on level. He said it's a major tripping. We have voters in here, they're handicapped. It's a major tripping problem. The foundations on this side of the building, all the mortar is gone. And what he thinks, he told us, and Gary backed me up on this, that he thinks when this was built, and Beth, do you remember when this was built? Beth? Do you remember when this building was built? Back in the 50s, I guess.
That was way back when my dad was supervisor, but I couldn't tell you when.
I think it was around 1950. I think I found.
Yeah, I'm thinking
It probably was
this
back in
newspaper
those,
article
yeah.
about.
So there were no inspections back then.
No,
Or nothing.
because we, at that time, the building inspector, believe me, I know, because he came down to my house, he poked his head up in the, said, looks good, see
Well, there
you.
used to be a guy that lived over on Rich Road. He was a retired builder that we had to look at things, but I built a house in '79, there was only one inspection, and they come after it was all done and said,
Yeah.
you had a furnace and you had water, you were good to go. But anyway, he claims that he thinks this slab was poured with a rat wall, and then the blocks were laid right on top of the slab. There's no footing from this place. That's why everything's shifting and moving.
I don't know who built it.
Well, everything was built on the cheap.
Well, yeah,
Because
so
this-
we had
there-
them all.
Under here, there's paneling. And the reason there's paneling in there is because you could buy panels for $1 a sheet at the trailer factories in Marlette. There's paneling all over this township, all over the area, because building materials were bought out of there cheap. So, he did a thermal. And I give you the reports there. If you allow me, I'll read it to you, if I don't stumble too much. An inspection was performed on March 28, 2023, to value insulation and other items. The weather was sunny and 36 degrees. And I got here half hour, 45 minutes with Gary, and we set the temperature up so that the building was heated so that he could get some accurate. The temperature of the outside partition walls was an average of 66 degrees. The outside wall average was 56 degrees. In other words, if he walked around, when the building heated up to 72 degrees, he walked around and it was only 56 degrees on the walls. Okay? The windows were set to the outside with deep pockets, and the wall and other portions of the window return on the inside was 36 degrees. Thermostat is set at 72 and it's shut off, yet around the windows and the trim there was only 36 degrees. Okay? The temperature at the ceiling was 68 degrees, which that's where all the heat is, right there, okay? And the insulation is minimal, this being a block constructed building, I only have 1 1/4 inch furring strips. This creates a cooler building in winter and a warmer in summer. The areas on the walls that showed insulation missing, a lot of cold air coming around the electric panel and the bottom of the exterior doors. Ceiling has a decent amount of insulation, but the problem he found is the heating ducts are in the ceiling. You can see where the vents are, but they're not insulated. So by the time the air coming out down there was like
91 degrees.
91 degrees. By the time it got down here, it was way below 60. So that makes two problems. As that heated air hits that cold air, it condenses moisture, which rises into the ceiling. Also, it ruins the insulation that's under there. So, the floor along the south wall, you can see outside, and also the floor pitches to the front of the building. And just so you know, the pictures they took are over here on the table, so you can look at it afterward if you want to see what he's talking about. The kitchen floor has very high and low spots. The south side footing may have dropped absorbently and exacerbated some of the problems. These are considered tripping hazards and are a major liability. Okay. To fix this problem properly, you would have to remove the concrete, replace with level concrete, try to level it as you would be causing the height of the doors to rise, and this being a block walls would require a top block to be reworked, which will affect the siding. All the interior doors have to be replaced, the bathroom will have to be completely redone. Most likely this will have to be upgraded to handicapped when redone. The kitchen will have to be removed and repaired or replaced.
The bathrooms aren't cold right now because there's not enough room to get a wheelchair in front of the toilet or under a sink.
Also, the bathrooms vent into the attic, they don't go anywhere else. That freezes, puts more moisture up in there and causes more problems. There's a picture of the ridge boards. You can see that they're starting to deteriorate up there from the moisture. So he goes on, also, there's 5 years that have water damage from either leaks in ceiling or improper valley out here between the buildings. There's one in the ceiling in a large room, and it appears still to be wet, so somewhere in here, he's got pictures of it, there's a wet spot in the ceiling. The back attic has water stains on the ridge board and rafters. There may be a couple reasons for these stains. One is, could have been leaked from the past ridge vents since the plywood roof decking is cut away from the ridge board, which indicated there was venting there. Moisture could also be getting into the attic from the normal humidity, the bath fan which vents in the attic, and the heat loss from unfinished ducts. The main attic is not accessible from the back addition. There's only one little cubby hole you can stick your head through to see the whole attic. Plumbing in the bathroom is all outside of the wall. It's not a good practice. They have water pipes. Then the interior of the room, they need to be protected from the walls. And it's not kind of an interesting thing. Beth, do you ever remember, did they ever have these hanging lights with the big white globes on them in here? I don't remember that, but they're all in the attic over the kitchen. And those are antiques, they probably have some value. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I
They hang
remember
from the
that.
ceiling
Yeah.
on a duct or something,
Yep.
and they got big round white globes on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, they were at I think where those plugs are on
Yeah,
the
So-
caps on the ceiling.
So that's mainly the report. So there's a copy of the permit for the septic system, the pictures are over there. So what I did, this is for disclosures, my daughter runs the RD office in Carroll, which covers this part of the state from Davison to the bridge. And their main job is rural development. They do housing, rural development, infrastructure, rural development, buildings, whatever municipalities would need. Problem with municipalities is they can't sign mortgages. They can't mortgage a building or property to build a building. So what it entails, we have to, there's a procedure. First, we have to get some kind of a rough drawing together of what we want, if we decide to replace this, okay? This is just if, and I don't have anything to do with that, but this is just for your information. Get a rough drawing, and the recommendation is that we have some offices in this building. Also, I didn't talk to Pam, but I talked to some of the gals that work on the election committee, and they said they don't have enough room. So, the process is to get a rough drawing with what we want. Hire an architect to do a drawing for the lenders and for the construction. That way we have a plan that we can get bids on. When we have the cost of the project, then we apply, and this is the federal government. Their interest rate today is 3.75. They'll loan for 40 years. I talked to Mayville State Bank just as I was in there and talked to Shelley, the president, and
Did you say 40 years?
40 years. That's so you can project it out on your income, and it isn't a big job. So, depending on how much you spend, and I don't have any idea what it would cost to build something like this, maybe a little bit larger. But I looked in my mortgage calculator, and for every $100,000 that you borrowed to build this building, would cost you $400 a month at $375 for 40 years. So if you borrowed $300,000, it'd be about $1,200 a month. That's based on your projected revenues. But what they do is, you hire a bond counsel, they call it. And they put the bond for the money that you want. You've heard of stocks and bonds. Well, this is a municipal bond. And they take bids from investors that would do the loan for the 3.75%. Then the federal government guarantees the loan. I checked with Mayville Bank, and their procedure is exactly the same. You need a bond counsel, you need to sell the bond to get the money that you need. So, but they'll only go 20 years, and they wouldn't guarantee us a rate. And this rate might only be good, who knows, you know. So. Can I answer, anybody got any questions of that? You know, this is all preliminary stuff, but.
What about doing a millage?
Well, can I get into something here other than this? So my daughter says, and she's the one that does the final approvals on this and then passes it on to the government. But she said, "What's the township's financial position?" And I said, "I really don't know." She says, "Well, I can find out." So she went on the state's auditing report and provided me with the most recent audit was March of 22. I was I'm gonna save some of my comments for comment period, but I was kind of surprised that the township has almost $1.5 million in the bank.
Yeah.
1.375.
It's on the state of Michigan site, anybody can go look at it.
Yep, I got the sites, I'll show you where it's at.
If that's not spent, don't they have to relinquish it back to the taxpayers?
I don't know how long you can sit on it.
No, let me make something clear, okay? Having a fund balance is not bad.
But that has to be spent in a certain amount of time, or has to be.
No, it doesn't, but it has to, but at a certain point, it has to be designated for some kind of a project.
Exactly.
The state of Michigan recommends to have between 3 and 6 months of fund equity for expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we get to the public comments, I've got a couple other things that I wanna bring
And that
up.
money's only covered, so much of that money's
Well,
covered, correct?
There's 600,000 of it is designated money. Cemetery fund is part of that. Mosquito fund is part of that, and I'll bring that up later. So,
Right, but if the bank were to go under,
well, now, that's a different
that's
thing.
different,
That's different.
alright.
The reason Cindy's more involved in this, because she got a lot of information. Gary and I met at his house, because my road was so bad, I didn't wanna ask him to bring his clean truck down. So I met at their house, okay? And Cindy happened to be there, and we went over some of this stuff, and she's got a little bit of information too, that the rest of you don't really have, okay? Any questions?
But
I'm sorry Gary wasn't here, because I've got.
Yeah, I wish he was here,
Yeah.
because I have a lot of questions for him.
Gary is the money man.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions
I
for Gary.
don't deal with that at all. I have, other than what I get right here, I have no
Because
access. I don't have access to people's taxes. I'm constantly called, you know, how much do I this and how much that, I have no idea. I don't have access to that software.
I will go over that with you when we get to public comment, okay? I don't wanna argue with anybody, I'm just gonna make my statements I wanna make. You can believe them if you can't, I'll give you the information, where I got the information, and you can go from there. Okay?
Yeah, cause I went on that site, yeah, there's a lot of information there, anybody can find out whatever they wanna know. And there's some other things that, when you're talking about money, is, I don't understand why we have a loan. Why do we have a loan for $9,000 at 4% interest on, what's this loan for? If we have the money, why do we have a loan? On some tube or something, is it for bend and break? Did we take out a loan?
There could be something, on a drain.
We couldn't afford to pay $9,000? Why would we take a loan?
It was brought to the board and we all approved it, so,
Cause boy, I definitely don't remember that.
well,
I definitely don't
that's
remember.
I mean, it's.
I didn't think we
We're
had any
not
money.
we're not making a loan payment every month, so I don't know what that is either.
You're making a yearly one.
Yeah, but why are we? I mean,
To
I didn't
who?
realize we had so much
To who?
money
I
until I
don't-
went
I
out.
don't
and
know
saw
why.
how much money.
County Drain Commission.
Well, I don't make a
No, but
payment
when I went to
to
the
them.
Michigan site,
They're
so
drawing
much
it
money
somewhere
went out
because
there.
Well,
it's in the
yeah.
audit.
And it was approved, he came here and talked to us about it and asked us and we approved it.
But I thought we didn't have any money. Okay, that's when, now I'm starting to school myself that we do have the money, okay? We do have the money. That's why I don't understand, I guess I need to talk to Gary on why we would even borrow 90 grand. That's really no sense.
Just curious, when did we borrow 90 grand?
For this,
Recently, in the last?
it was,
It's in the last 5 years.
yeah, was it last fall?
No,
Last
it was
fall.
farther back.
Was it farther back than
I
that?
think so, I don't remember.
But we've always had the money, I guess. I
Should be in
don't-
the minutes somewhere.
Yeah, and I have all the minutes,
It
so.
was
I
done the
never
way
throw
the
it away.
drain commissioner presented it to us and we approved it the way.
But I
he
always thought we
presented
never
it.
had any money, and I'm, my fault, I'm bad, alright? I should have investigated, I should have went to the state of Michigan site, because we definitely don't publicize anything on our website or on that wall or anything. I mean, just like the audit, I mean, was that posted? Did we have the auditor come in here and explain some of this stuff to us? No, we did not. Why didn't we? And shame on me for not asking before, but I'm asking now. Why hasn't the auditor been in here to explain some of this stuff to us? And it's supposed to be posted out there, it's supposed to be on our website, you know, it's not. It's March 22, why isn't it there? It's not there. Hello, it's not there. So, I guess now I wanna know.
Well, like you just said, you found out about this $9,000 loan. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea. We're not making payments
Should know.
on a
It's the
loan.
supervisor.
So I have no idea what this is. I have no idea. Was it before my tenure? I don't, it had to be, because I never,
No,
No, it wasn't that
Well,
long. It
was
was
it-
something that Joe Suma came for.
and I think I vaguely remember that, and then we all just voted for it. But in my mind, I'm thinking, no, we didn't have the
is
money.
it
so we
interest
had to
free
do
or
it.
something? Is there,
No, I
is
think it's
$9,000
$4,000
loan, is it interest free?
It was something to do with the way, that they were gonna charge it. So the way they charged it out.
But even back then, we had the money to pay for it. So, Gary,
Is it
when he
something
gets back,
that,
I'll ask him.
is it something that we're making payments on?
No.
Okay, so we got a loan that we're not
It's
making
something-
payments on?
Don't we have to pay at least once a
It's
year or
probably
something?
something that shows, it's not
Can we,
the same as.
Gotta be so
table it
practical.
and wait till Gary's back and
I
walk
just
through it?
Yeah, I mean, because I
Gary?
have no idea, I have no idea.
I
what
mean,
this
everything's
is.
speculation without
Yeah,
Gary
I have
sitting
no idea
here.
what this is.
It's a fact,
$9,000
right there,
loan.
it's on the state Michigan site. That's-
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
Well,
fact,
we
but,
don't have
but
a-
why and how is speculation unless Gary can tell us.
I think the supervisor should know.
The drain commission, and it was the way he presented it to us. He had it all worked out, and they were gonna spread the cost out over a few years. And
So we're not making payments, are we paying interest?
We are, but not on a monthly basis, they're spread out, she said.
It must be worked in with the drain, with the drain assessments. However, that's assessed on property taxes, because we are not making a payment. I would prepare a check. That's not,
No,
that's
okay.
not.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to ask him when he's ready.
Can we go back to finishing the discussion on the building and
Sure.
next steps?
Yeah, so that's the steps, and I can have her, she will come and explain it when we get to that point. This is an application for the loan, it's fairly simple. They want some water reports and stuff like that they can already get, but,
And that's with rural development, the
Rural-
state rural development?
no, US government.
Oh, yes.
US
previous meeting, we asked the planning commission to investigate what was going on with the building from a heat perspective, and unfortunately, a lot of negative things were discovered. So now what would next steps be? We have an evaluation that shows that we have a
Well,
bunch of negative issues.
just for clarification, was there anything good about this building?
No.
Exactly. So the options are pretty clear, right? It's not a matter of,
You're gonna have
what
to do
can we
something.
do?
You're
There's
gonna have to
only
do
really
something
one
eventually.
option.
You're gonna have to do something eventually.
Yeah, there's only one option. So it's not an option like, well, what can we do? Should we do this? Should we do that? No, we have to get a new township hall. Contrary to some people won't like it. We know that's gonna happen. Unfortunately, what we do is we do what's best, what we try to do is best for the township. And at this point in time, we need to build a new township hall, so we have to investigate further, period.
It's not gonna affect-
If this was good, well, maybe we could build off of that. If this was good, we could build off of that. There's nothing good here. We might be able to add on to it, but then again, I don't know that. That's an engineering issue, which,
That doesn't solve this problem.
no, it doesn't.
And your inside wall, deal, the building is already small, and you're gonna lose another foot on each side, or, total. You're only 1,500 square foot here anyway.
Right.
I whittled it off and figured it
Well,
out.
this is why I brought this up, okay? We're talking about 1,500 square foot. My house is probably twice that size. And, we don't heat this building but 2 or 3, 4 days a month, 5 days a month. And yet we're spending 4 times the amount of propane in this building than we are in my home. Something had to be done.
It's not like it's gonna go on anybody's taxes.
It's not-
Nobody's gonna pay out of their.
No, well, somebody talked about a millage, then it would be, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we have the
But
money,
that's-
or we have the opportunity to get the money, either way.
Yeah.
Well, when I became township supervisor, we had money. This township is stable, which is a good thing. I don't know, somebody says we got $1 million, we got 1.5 million. This is a good thing. This is not a bad thing. This is a positive thing.
I agree. The boards in the past need to be commended. Part of the reason they got so much of this money is they won't spend nothing for nothing. I mean, our roads are as bad as they've been, okay? We got a town hall falling down. We got blight everywhere, and I looked at the new budget. You don't have a dime plan for budget or ordinance enforcement. There's not a dime in there.
That's not true.
Where's, you pointed out to me.
$6,000.
Under what heading? Where?
Under treasurer.
Well, okay, all right, I renege on that one. I didn't see it there.
Do you feel that $6,000 is sufficient? Now, let's
Well,
not
why don't you
forget.
look at the budget and see what we spent last year?
Well,
Wasn't anywhere close to $6,000.
But you guys, this year you're planning on using the code enforcement guys out of the pier,
we're
right?
gonna try to do things our way first, and then if that doesn't.
Yeah, but your way is only $17 an hour, if I remember correctly. That's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
It's extremely
But-
cheap.
But I think that's,
We've had great success, we still have things to address, but so far, we've had pretty good success. Not that I'm saying that it's been perfect, but,
it's your budget
it's going
friendly.
I'm sorry?
It's your budget friendly.
Yeah, well, you know.
But what is
can-
the code enforcement guys charge to do
This
their
is-
part?
This is part, see, we've had so many different methods of code enforcement. And, some had positive, some had negative, some had positive and negative. The bottom line is, my exposure to Lapeer Construction Code is that we address the issue to them, they send a letter, and what do they charge for a letter? $61, they send a letter. People don't respond, so they send them a second letter, $61. Then they go out and they look at it, and there's a fence up or a no trespassing sign, and they spend $61 to say, we can't get on the property. Then we say, issue him a violation, and they say, well, we need a date of birth from this guy. I don't have his date of birth. Some people we do, some people we don't. Well, we can't issue a violation. So we do get them a date of birth. Then they go to court and then they wanna adjourn it. Who's paying for all this? We are. And nothing gets done.
That's not how that works.
And the alternative?
Well, the alternative is,
Cause it looks like the alternative isn't working terribly well either.
well, the alternative is, what Ron and I discussed, is that we will try to be persuasive in helping people to comply with the understanding that if they don't, then there's gonna be costs. The problem is, I can only give you one example. I've only gone to court one time. There was a guy down here in Barnes Road, and he had 20 plus cars in his driveway, all of them nothing but pieces of junk. And construction code had issued a violation. This was an ongoing problem that had happened several times throughout the last 20 years. Same guy, same problem. He'd move them, he'd move them to Dayton or somewhere else, and then he'd move them back, and the same issue just so finally I'm like, no, this moving game is not working. So we issued him a violation. We go there. Of course, we have to have our township attorney there who's getting paid, whatever, $120, $150 an hour. And they proceeded to tell me that we're going to adjourn it. And I said, why are we adjourning it? And they said, because he said he'd move them. I says, he's been moving for the last 5 years. Let's have him move them. Well, we need to this and that. No, you go over there and you tell him, move those cars within 2 weeks. Now we're at court. This is the last step. You got 2 weeks to move them. If you don't move them, we will get a tow truck, court order, to move the vehicles. You will pay for the costs. And now you pay your court costs, and you also pay the township because we have incurred costs for me to be there, for the several letters that we've sent from construction code being at the court, plus our attorney. And they says, oh, he'll never agree with that. I says, go ask him. He walked over there, he said, I agree, and that was the end of the story, and he moved almost everything out there. He moved it up.
The only problem I see with that is you should have moved that 4.5 years up. That should have been done the first 6 months, not wait 5 years and.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me though. I got in here, I took care of it.
You've been here 7 years.
Yeah.
I've been here going on 6, but what is?
You're in your second or 4-year term, and you're almost 3 years into it.
Really?
Yes. Election comes up
Oops.
next year.
Okay, all right, okay, yeah, I get that, but what I'm saying is, the issue's not there now. The issue was taken care of right away, just like the one on.
Yeah, once you got to that point, but it took you 4.5 years to get to that point.
Ron, this was 2.5 years ago, 3.5 years ago, this was taken care
I
of.
know that, but what I'm saying, you said that problem been there 5 years.
Before my time.
Well, your time started 7 years ago.
Okay, Ron, the incident I'm talking about did not happen yesterday. This happened 4, 5, 6 years ago.
I understand that, but.
So I don't understand what you're saying, I shouldn't
Well,
have.
I don't understand why, if it was you or somebody else, we don't work on this stuff.
I agree, and I did. We had the house on Silverwood Road, last name May, that's all I remember. It was a disaster. Nothing got taken care of. I'm not trying to dump on the last guy, but nothing happened. Nothing was taken care of.
You're right.
You know that.
Nothing was done when Henny was here. I mean, I'll say his name. Nothing got done then, all right? Nothing, all right? You got the same crap sitting out in their yard, same crap sitting in their yard, same crap over there, same crap in everybody's yard that we have to look at. And every year it gets worse, every year, every month it gets worse, okay? I got people dumping crap over here, you got open trailers and open vehicles, so some kid can go in there and play hide and seek, and then you can't find that kid. And then lo and behold, oh, where's my kid, all right? Oh, I don't know, and then they get hurt in this vehicle because there's some stupid animal living in there that's maybe got rabies, who knows, you know? But
You need to
You're just
adopt all
waiting for
new.
something bad to happen, and no one's gonna do nothing until something bad happens. Then, well, let's take care of it. No, it's a crap hole in this rich township. It's a crap hole.
Well, we
There's
have-
crap everywhere.
You need to adopt all new zoning and muni code ordinances. I've been working with some really good ones for the last year. They got teeth. That house over there, like on Barnes Road, if it's vacant 6 months, you seize it. They got a bunch of junk sitting there, it's $150 a day fine, and it goes right on their property taxes. The tax time comes, the county pays for it reimburses the township for the taxes, and then you get the lawyer and you take the house and you tear it down.
We have an open sewer in the front yard of a house down the road from us that we smell daily. Septic, open in the front yard. Nobody does nothing about it.
What street is that on?
Right on Murphy Lake Road.
Lake?
Yeah.
I just had somebody go look at that about a week and a half.
Yeah, I was in contact with the health department. Good guy, but he's way overworked and wearing a
Ray?
stretch, but better ordinances
Ray?
could take care of that.
Is it Ray that
Yeah.
you're talking?
Yeah, good guy, but he's the only guy.
There's another guy down there too, pretty good.
The whole place
I asked him
should
to
be
take a look at
condemned.
that. I was just made aware of that by somebody else.
The entire place should be condemned.
Yeah.
And he has another place around the corner that's a
If there's a
crap
blighted
hole
building
too.
I
ordinances,
also had
dangerous
the road
building.
commission come out because is it piling up on somebody's front lawn too? Is it puddling up there?
It is their front lawn.
Yeah, it's like
Is it
20.
bad people's front lawn?
Their house is a crap hole too, and they have another place around the
Is it
corner
somebody
from
next
us.
door then? It's going over their driveway? Is that possible?
It's running out into the
It's running
road.
out into the road.
It's bubbling, it's 20, not even 20 feet from the road, and it's got a layer of muck, human waste and mold, and you can drive down the road when it's hot out and it gags you. All the neighbors are over complaining at me all the time. We
Our
have no
front-
ordinances here, we can't do nothing about it.
Our front
Well, that's
porch
all-
is a
we
huddle
should-
for
we
the
should take
neighborhood.
care of that. That's something that should just be taken care of.
Yeah.
That's a health department issue.
They will. I've had that issue.
Yeah, we got a muni code book that's 300 pages and a zoning code book that's almost 300 pages. They're very well written. Everyone's got a penalty in it. Enforcement is written on every single code, and they got teeth. And it can be done where all the money stays in the township. Instead of writing tickets and we get $2 out of 150, because it goes right on their taxes.
If that,
It's a process, but you gotta know how to do it.
Yeah.
He does it
That's
well.
what needs to be done.
Yeah, I'm doing all the zoning and ordinances in Mayville, and I've cleaned that place up a lot in a year.
We didn't finish the building yet.
They have to probably establish a committee or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, we need to
bottom
have that
line is we know that
conversation.
something has to be done. This is
Well,
not-
yeah.
This is not an option.
Okay, so something needs to be done. What is that something and who's responsible for it?
They gave it to the planning commission to do something about it.
That's why I asked.
And he just gave us a report, so now we need to decide what we wanna do next.
I'm as far as I can go, because I don't have any authority to do anything.
I'm wondering, when you build this new hall, are you gonna build it large enough that it can be rented so that it can generate revenue?
Well, it's-
Are you gonna get a
it's-
liquor license or
it's-
temporary? How are you gonna do this?
It's debatable, of course, obviously, these are all options that need to be discussed, and I've had some people tell me that we shouldn't have a kitchen.
What's a hall without a kitchen? But you can get those temporary.
This is why everything varies, okay?
You have a
When
setup.
somebody says that we shouldn't have a kitchen, I disagree with it, I just take it all in, I listen, but I
Most
disagree.
of these halls done anymore, they have what they call a warming kitchen.
Okay?
Okay, and the caterer or whoever's doing the cooking brings their roasters and stuff in. You have
Exactly.
a refrigerator, and a wall
Exactly.
sink and stuff like that, but you don't have to have a full cooking kitchen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. The main problem here is you plug two roasters in, blows the fuses, or
Yeah.
breaks the breakers.
And what is that we were talking about, where you can get the temporary, when you have a temporary permit, when you have a reception or
alcohol?
something? Yeah,
Yeah, you can get permits.
just temporary, when you have a reception or something. You don't have to hold a liquor license.
Those are done through the state.
Yes, but it's temporary, so you can have a big enough, you can have weddings, but large enough to have a DJ and a dance hall, so you can generate revenue for the township, which actually help pay for the hall itself.
Well, and that's why we put the pavilion in, so in the summertime, they would have a pavilion to sit underneath, so they wouldn't be sitting out in the hot sun when you're out in the
But you
yard.
can also
That's why we
have-
put that out there.
Yeah,
And-
but it's so far from the,
This is in such bad shape that it's not fixable.
Mhm.
And, without, I mean, you can put a whole new building up by the time you fix it. So-
But we do,
So it would be up to, I guess, us to decide what would be the next step.
The planning commission's willing to help where we can, but.
Right,
we're-
right.
We're to a certain point, I mean, I don't have any authority, I went and talked to lenders just to get you information. And
Right.
it's in a great spot though for weddings, for car shows, for craft shows, for, you know, but it's just not,
Rent it out.
it's
Get
just not
rented
big
out.
enough.
So, I mean, we get it rented out, right? I mean, there's always parties here.
Almost every weekend in the summer.
So,
Problem is now though, if you do and somebody gets hurt, then it'll be all
Well,
done.
that's absolutely part of the problem.
yeah.
We need to get back to the building thing if we're gonna do something,
Well,
and we'll be here all night.
I mean, what would be the next step? To make a motion for them to move forward, or somebody move forward to get an estimate on what it costs?
First of all, like I stated at the beginning, we need to put, the group, somebody here has to put some kind of a drawing together. This is what we want, square foot wise with offices here, here, and here. It doesn't have to be perfect drawings, but it has to be good enough that we can present it to an architect who puts that basic plan on graph paper or whatever into,
I think it starts further upstream from that. I think the township needs to determine what it wants in a hall.
well, that's what,
Like a warming kitchen, you know,
That's what I said.
exterior restrooms
That
as well
first
as
plan-
interior restrooms.
that first
and-
plan is gonna have, that's gonna be had.
It doesn't have to be a drawing at first, though, it just needs to be an agreement that
Well,
these are the features that we wanna
It's
have,
easier
now
to
we
do-
can draw.
It's easier to do a drawing. Okay, then you can see what you want. I don't care, but you got the basics, then you gotta go to an architect to get the drawings so that they can take bids. Okay, you take bids off the architect.
Okay,
so
so.
Ron, you made comment about somebody that would be willing to,
Yeah, let me, I checked that out, and none of these lenders will go for that. Okay,
but if we get an idea, step one to start something.
well, that could be, but the architect that stamps the drawing for the lenders has to be the architect that does the inspections and the releases of funds. So in other words,
Because it's a construction loan.
yeah. And none of the lenders will accept it. I said, I knew he's an unlicensed architect, he doesn't do it anymore, but he still does it. And he hires out to other architects and does the drawings and then they stamp it. And both the lenders that I talked to said, oh, no, that isn't gonna work. The architect that does the stamping is the one that releases funds and makes the inspections and makes sure it's built to his specs. There's nobody in this room that I know is qualified on a commercial building to inspect anything.
The first step that I feel we need to do is obviously find somebody that's knowledgeable. I can't make claim that I'm knowledgeable about building from scratch.
Basically, if you come up, if you can come up with a drawing, okay, of basically what you want, and you guys all agree to that, then we can take it someplace and have something done with it.
Well, that's what I was getting at. I mean, the township for last 20 years had one specific builder that took care of everything in this township. And unfortunately, he passed away. Kind of a freak accident. We lost a good man in this township. But I knew that when I did have problems, that's who I'd go to. And I talked to him, and he helped me. But at this point in time, I really don't. I don't know of any good builders. I hate to say that. Maybe somebody does know good builders around here. I'm always willing to.
I know a really good one in Marlette.
Who's that?
Dan Cordy, fire chief over in Marlette, he's also a builder. Been building in Marlette. for
That's not Key
25 years.
Construction, is it?
No, Cordy Construction.
yeah, my son-in-law works for him.
You what?
My son-in-law works for Dan.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. I've
Yes, he
used
is.
him several times.
Well, that's it, we gotta get something that can bid on.
We already know we want a warming station, we already know we want inside, outside bathrooms, we've already talked about that. ability and 2 offices, Dave.
If you build a good building, it'd be a good idea where it was open at least a day or two a week for a
Yes,
few hours
that,
anyway.
we've already talked about that too. There's gonna be 2 offices, we already talked about that, inside, outside bathrooms, we already talked about that. And, it just
We
to
don't need an
decide
elaborate
how
office
big.
either, but it would be nice if we had a printer.
Yeah,
nice to have a
offices,
printer.
and then where
And
someone
a
comes
desk,
out here once
chair,
a week.
a couple people, 3 people could, considering that 4 people could sit in that office.
Right, so
Two
people
10
come
by
out
10
and handle their
offices.
business taxes, whatever it is they need to talk to, Terrell about. But we already know we wanted all that. We just didn't come to, there's one thing that I don't think we ever talked about was how big we would want the building. That was the one thing I don't think we ever talked about, but everything else we talked about, exactly what.
Well, I'm gonna, everybody has some different opinions of what they want, but of course, I wouldn't wanna build smaller.
No, I would think it had to be bigger.
So, right, and as far as a hall goes for rentals, I would say yes. Warming station's great, throwing an extra stove in there is not gonna make or break a stove, that's my feelings. But I do understand your point, why should they come here and make a turkey either, right?
Right.
They use the oven for whatever, I don't cook turkeys either, 6 hours or
I
whatever
don't
it is.
think anybody does any of their cooking
No.
here,
No, they don't.
But I mean, there might be, probably what people use that stove for, just to keep things warm. Maybe heat up some vegetables or
Yes, I
something
think
like
it
that.
was originally put in for, is to keep things warm, not to cook whole meals.
Right, and I don't think anybody does that. But, so, yeah, outside access bathroom, co-ed bathrooms, 2 of them. No sense of making it male, female, I think that's, yeah, just make co-ed.
Personally,
Can I
I think
make
it
a
should be
suggestion?
male and female.
If, for the next meeting, I will check with this, part-time architect and see if he would do us a drawing,
That'd be great,
okay?
because that's a.
Just a
start.
rough drawing, not an architectural
Right,
drawing,
right,
just
right.
some kind of rough drawing.
Exactly. I mean,
Have
do
any
we
of you
do
been
stick
to-
build? See, we talked about this. Do we do stick build or do we do a metal build with the spray and insulation? Because now the guy that was here said he could build it, stick build, cheaper.
Yeah.
And that would be foam insulated also.
Most of you know Morton Buildings, and
Is that a good builder now, Morton?
Morton's, they're like the best in the industry.
they actually have,
Is he on?
Most expensive too, but.
Yeah, they ain't cheap, you pay for it.
no, they're not cheap, but
Top of the line.
he quoted, me $250 to $300 per square foot. So 1,000 square foot would be $250,000. That's finished. I talked to Pichet Builders here the other day, and he said that's roughly what a house is going for today. That's what it costs building a house. And this building should not be as expensive as building a house. I mean, same
Right.
square foot, cause
Right.
you
No,
have this big
absolutely.
open area with hardly anything in it, okay?
Right.
This guy. So,
You don't have all the plumbing, all the electric, all the walls, all
the other question is where you wanna place the building, that can come up later, but, this is gonna have to be taken down,
this is a good parking lot right here.
Right. And the other thing is where the new building should be is where the septic system is, but we already know that needs to be replaced, so there's gonna be some logistics in this, can we construct a new building and still use this one? Or do we have to time it so that we can hold our meetings and stuff somewhere else for 6 months that they're building or whatever? it takes?
Library.
This can be torn down at the end.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if you start building out here, you gotta take the septic system up, okay? So this building is unusable at that point, so,
And we have a big election coming up in 1 year
yeah,
now, so we wanna.
there's
do more of
logistics
that.
involved too, but if you would like me to, I will check and see if he, for a very reasonable amount, he'd do some kind of a rough drawing. You tell me how many square foot you want in this. This building is 1,500 square, that's including the 2 little,
Bathrooms.
and isn't there 2 little bathrooms? Yeah. And then, yeah.
So
I would-
we definitely want it bigger than that.
Yeah, I would say about 3,500. Have you been to Fremont Township's Hall, anybody?
I haven't,
but I heard
but
it's
it's
really
nice,
nice.
it's very nice.
What's that now?
That's nice, it's laid out pretty nice.
Fremont.
Yeah, and the other one that is new is Indian Fields, if anybody goes to Carroll. But
Yeah.
they built that on the cheap, it's a nice little building, they can't even vote in there. So there's not enough room set up for voting. So,
So probably somewhere around what, 3,500 feet?
So, if you can get somebody to give you an idea for 3,500 feet, get us a rough estimate, and then they can look at it, and then we can go from there. Needs to be bigger, needs to be smaller, whatever.
but Morton told me that you get a drawing, get the architect drawing, and then they bid on it. And that's the way to do it. Take this.
I'm not familiar with Morton. Are they stick built or are they?
It's
No,
a pole
It's
barn,
post and pole.
it's a pole barn style build, but,
But they build them according to commercial codes or residential codes now.
yeah.
They're building houses.
It's top of the
Where are
line,
they
it's
at?
really
Where-
high
where are
quality.
they?
Right south of John Deere dealer on 53.
Yeah, over in Merlin.
They're
We had a buddy
expensive,
that
but they're
had a
quality.
nice Barn put up by those guys.
If that's all right with you, then I'll check on that and I'll report back.
Yeah, numbers are being thrown out, and everybody has opinions again. 3,500 is quite the big building.
Well, not if you cut out bathrooms, kitchen, offices.
Well, if this is 15, if we had another 1,000 square foot, so almost half of this, a little more than half of this extra.
Well, again, you want the main area too large enough to accommodate 150 to 200 people for a wedding.
Wedding reception, band, DJ, whatever they're gonna have there.
You gotta remember too, we're looking towards the future now.
No, I
If
get
they
that.
build it too small,
No,
then
I
right down the
agree.
road, here you go
Better too
again.
big than too small. I totally agree, 100%.
Cost materials isn't gonna get cheaper either.
No, but your infrastructure, your heating, cooling, and all that stuff is certain costs. Doesn't, as you get bigger, it doesn't get that much more.
Right.
Well, I'll just say this, as far as how much money we have, obviously we can afford it. This is not something that was hidden by anybody. Like I said, it was this way when I came in. It's always been this way. But I will say the reason why we do kind of try to keep that is because of the next thing on the agenda is the resolution for the Castle Road Bridge. If we don't get that, that could cost us $2 million.
We still don't know why that happened,
No, we don't.
and.
Long before my time.
I know, but that's just
And
unreal.
what she's referring to as Castle Road was the main thoroughfare. And then they built, 90, and Castle became obsolete and they offered it to Rich Township. According to the county, we took it. I don't know why, but supposedly we took it. And at that point in time, we became responsible for Castle Road, which means we become responsible for Castle Road Bridge. I've had people investigate and nobody can, kind of my feelings are, if you can't prove that it's ours, then it's not ours.
We fully agree with you, and I think it's worth some attorney fees to find out just exactly who signed for that.
I agree with that.
And you did some digging with me with the county on an abandoned road, and they went clear back into the 30s and found that it wasn't abandoned. They just collected taxes on it all these years, and they'd have to take me kicking and screaming to pay for that bridge. Because number one, it's, one side of the road is North Brand, or Deerfield. Why don't they pay for half of it?
And they have thought on
point.
whatever.
You know?
Good point.
Half the people that live on that road are on their side, and
I think we should be paying the lawyer to check into that.
No, yeah, I agree. 100%.
I mean, that would be one expense I'd be okay with, because I don't think we should be paying for that. That, not this little community, I'm sorry, but I don't see why we're paying for that. This is a small community, why are we paying
Well, this is where we're trying to get the
Wow.
resolution, but I do have this on the list of things to do as attorney, Castle Road, no doubt about it. I mean, it might cost us a lot of money for him to investigate it, but it's still worthwhile, kind of fun. Because you know what, if he can't prove it, then the county needs to prove it. If the county can't prove it, then it's not ours. Because we can prove that it was theirs at one time, correct?
It was a state highway.
Okay, so the state supposedly gave it to us then?
Yeah,
That's unique.
And nobody
I've never heard of
objected.
the state ever giving anybody.
Nobody objected, so we got stuck with it.
Anyway.
Politics and this stuff.
So yeah, Ron, if you can, get with this guy, see if you can do something, a rough sketch, some ideas. I'm not opposed to 3,500. I think that's a little overkill, but that's just my opinion. Doesn't make it right or wrong.
You gotta remember too, the size of a building only allows so many occupants per that size of building. So you don't wanna shoot yourself in the foot either.
No, I get it. I totally understand.
So then the bridge, we can talk to the lawyer and see what he has to say?
Yeah, we're gonna do a resolution for this, requesting the state to pay for it. That's
Are
next.
we doing that again?
Yes, every year. We were rejected.
Oh, did anybody prepare a resolution? Oh, okay.
It should be 2 pages. Gary tried to steal one.
Now you gave me one.
Let me try to steal.
Yeah.
I give both of you. Should be 2 pages. Anyway, got it? That's it.
Replacement and maintenance,
Yep.
okay.
Well, I think we've exhausted the conversation tonight about the building. I mean, obviously, we know that it has to be done. There will be people that are unhappy, just like there were people that were unhappy that we did the pavilion. There were people unhappy we did the kitchen. People unhappy we got a generator. Some people aren't even unhappy we got a flagpole. Well, like you said, it comes a point in time where we gotta start doing something.
Agreed.
Because when I came in here, nothing was done. Sorry, just wasn't. People talked about building a pavilion for 20 years.
And that benefits everybody though.
It does.
It's not like it's
It's
just one
absolutely right.
person.
That's absolutely right.
And that's what you gotta think about too, is the
It's-
benefit of everybody,
It's,
not
it's
just.
there, that's correct, it's there for the public. I mean, it'd be nice if we could have a nice, although there's liabilities, I get it, but it'd be nice if we had swing sets for kids and, you know, whatever. Nowadays, you can't have swing sets or jungle gyms or anything else like we had when we were kids, but it'd be nice if we could have something like that without our insurance rates going through the sky.
I think they bring a lot of their own toys or their own games, so that way you don't have to have somebody here all the time.
So, Ron, if you can, you
Can I
know,
do that?
keep up on that, and,
We'll do
I can probably call.
You see, I wanna thank Gary for all his help, okay, and my committee. We were given this assignment last month and we got it done. And that's what we're gonna keep.
Agreed.
We're gonna start keeping your,
Agreed.
we're gonna keep your feet to the fire
That's
and
fine.
get this done.
That's fine. You know what, it's something that, that I would like to done a long time ago, because, but then again, it's not my money. So yes, I would like to have built a township hall to keep up with the neighboring townships. But it did do us well, but at this point in time, this is a disaster. be taken care of, needs to be done, needs to be changed, so. Anyway, all right, Pam. Go ahead with your
So,
resolution.
do you wanna read this, or is it the same as the one before?
It is the same as the one before. It's been prepared by the Bear County Road Commission,
Oh, okay.
so it's a carbon copy of.
You all have a copy of it?
No, I do not.
Oh. We should read it, and if you're gonna have to vote on it.
Yeah. One of them is a replacement and one of them is a maintenance. The maintenance says, whereas the condition of the bridge listed below has deteriorated to such an extent that preventive maintenance is necessary, and whereas Rich Township wishes to have a fast, safe, and efficient transportation network for its citizens, and whereas Rich Township has experienced growth and continues to grow, placing further burden on the transportation network, and whereas both Rich Township and their Lapeer County Road Commission are actively pursuing participation in the preventative maintenance of this structure. Therefore, be it now resolved that both Rich Township and the Board of Lapeer County Road Commissioners request the local bridge program funds for the Castle Road Bridge over the Squaw Creek Drain for the year 2026, and is aware of the financial obligation to fund its share for preventive maintenance of the structure. So this is what we will vote on. There'll be two of them. That's the maintenance. Anybody have questions on that?
So, you want us to vote to say, yes, we're accepting the responsibility of the maintaining the Castle Bridge?
No, what we're saying is we want assistance, but we also understand that we will be partially responsible for it.
Or this is asking for,
Assistance, but
Yes.
if we don't get the assistance, we're now responsible for it.
By attrition, you're admitting that you're responsible for it and you would like them to help.
Right.
Well, but this is something that we've been doing every year. for the
That
last-
doesn't necessarily make it the right thing to do.
No, I understand that, but where do we go at this point in time? Until we find out that it's not our responsibility.
I wouldn't send that resolution until you get feedback from your lawyer that says
Well,
that
can
we do have a
I mean,
responsibility.
That's a possibility. The bottom line though is there is a time frame that we have to do it. So I
When does the resolution have to go in? Is this like an annual grant type thing that they do?
Yes, it's a request from the state, and it's for 2026. It would have been the same month last year.
If the lawyer was to look into it, he's looking into it, I'm sure he could put that off to a certain time and date, till he finds out exactly who owns the bridge.
it's a program.
Yeah, it's until the
No,
money's
but if
gone,
we
right?
say
Yeah, it has to- we have to apply
yeah,
for it by a
if we
certain
say
date.
that, if I agree to this, then that means they're gonna say, no, we're not gonna help you, it's all on you. I'm not okay with that, I'm gonna vote no. So, I vote no for that resolution. I'm not paying for that bridge. No,
You know what-
we don't even know why it got dumped on us.
Yes, I know.
I think it's June 1st.
How many times have you submitted that, Dave?
Well, it's probably been 3, 4, 5 times.
Yikes.
If we miss the window?
No, it's just they limit how many people they can do, just like, we were approved for Squaw Creek Bridge. We have,
Is that one of those programs where you move up on the ladder if you need it worse? And state has
It's-
all these audits they look at. I was looking today, you can, any township or any municipality up and find out what their expenditures were and how good they are. And I'm sure the state, if they're scoring these, I know the federal government does, they score it, who needs it the worst, they get it. If you got a ton of money in the bank, you
You're
don't.
not gonna get it.
No.
That's very possible.
Especially if
That's true.
you got a ton of money sitting there and other infrastructure services, ditches,
Well-
whatever else is not being maintained.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna make sure
Then
you're.
you're not
Sounds like
gonna get
there's
it.
very little risk of holding off on that, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
What was the other resolution?
Well, the other one is for full replacement. One's maintenance, one's for full replacement.
The full replacement's 100% on the state though, right? That's not us taking it, or is it us taking it and we want the state to pay for it?
When Destin came that one time, a couple years ago, we had that all listed out, as to what the cost would be, what the,
And
what
is
our
aware,
portion would be. I have that paperwork on file.
and it says Ann is aware of the financial obligation to fund its share. So no, we'd be responsible for that also.
For a share of the 2 million.
And I think it's 10%.
Would it be better to hire a lawyer, have him investigate it?
Yeah.
Then if Deerfield is involved, because I truly feel that they need to pony up.
Yeah,
But I
definitely
guess
not
it's
here.
gonna take, if it takes a lawyer, paying a lawyer
Yeah,
X
I
amount of
agree.
dollars, let's get it rolling, let's move forward. Cause it looks to me, and I agree, I don't come to many meetings because I work a lot of hours, but we have to move forward. Because if we don't, like we're saying, we're going towards the future. You guys won't be here in the future.
Right.
It's gonna be my son, me, younger people coming in, and they're gonna be stuck with everything that we don't do. I'm a taxpayer, I'm a lifelong resident. I know everything you're talking about, but the problem that I'm seeing, we're not moving forward. We're just kind of, well, let's send this in, we're still talking about it. I was in a meeting, I don't know how long ago, maybe last year, we're still talking about the same stuff. Let's pull the trigger, hire a lawyer, get it done.
We have a good.
Okay, let's get him on the case, let's get him working, just like with the new building. Please, Mr. Gromack, get that rolling.
Well, this is something that just came out, so yeah, this is definitely a priority. It's not something that, at this point in time, we have now become, because we have somebody that's come in here and looked at this building and says, that's a trip hazard. And if we ignore that trip hazard, somebody falls, now we can be sued.
It's gotta go,
So now it has to happen.
right?
If there's mold up there and somebody comes here for a party and they get sick and they find out, yeah, there's mold up there and we haven't done nothing, we're responsible. I'm not saying there is mold because it wasn't, there was humidity, but there was humidity,
Thank you
there's not mold.
for making that statement in the minutes tonight.
The pictures are there.
They're on video.
Anybody wants to see them.
Is there actually mold up there?
For the camera, the ridge vent, or the ridge, it's not trusses, it's rafters. There's a ridge board, and that looks like it's deteriorating, so what is there, I don't know.
Do you need to vote on it? To get the ball rolling?
Hold under this carpet
We
too.
need to. We just do it.
Let's get,
No.
my vote is get it going.
Yeah. I don't think we need to vote on that, I mean,
No.
we're gonna do it,
If we
right?
can get it going, let's get
If
it
we need to
going.
vote on it,
There,
then we'll
there are
get it
certain
done,
things, yeah, I mean, we can vote on it, right? Wouldn't hurt.
but I'll make a motion that we move forward
I'll
with.
second it.
Okay. There we go,
All in favor?
done, aye.
No, you gotta spell out the motion.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Motion to
Hang
what?
on, I can take a roll.
To
I'll
investigate
take a roll call vote.
replacement.
Well, Cindy made the motion.
Okay.
What's your
All right,
motion?
the first motion is to let Ron move forward and, bring the information he comes back with, for the construction of a new building here. But the other motion I'm gonna make is to get with a lawyer and let him get into this, so.
Let me, I gotta write it down, let me do one here, time. Okay, so have Ron move forward
Yeah, I can draw.
with what?
I can't do
I'm sorry,
architectural.
Have
drawings,
Ron
but I
move
can do-
forward.
With the construction, you're gonna get, what were you gonna do? I'm sorry. You're gonna, talk to your guy.
Acquiring construction drawings?
Right,
Yeah, get us some kind of just a
Right.
drawing for
Get
a
us
plan.
Dimension
Right.
floor plan.
yeah, somewhere between 25 to 35, whatever we think we need.
Do you want me to put the square footage in the motion?
4,000.
No, cause we don't have all the
Okay.
specifics, just the.
So just
key
move
items.
forward with
I know, so
acquiring
put a tractor in
construction
here.
drawings.
Fade
And then we have my-
You said you spoke to Ray, the health department? You have spoke to him?
Okay, who's?
Well, not-
Murphy Lake?
Last year, yeah.
And the other one is to get with the lawyer.
What did he
Did
say?
somebody support that?
He's sent him a couple of letters, but
And she's gonna support it too.
No country.
that's as far as it went.
All right. Now, you're making another motion?
Yeah, to, contact the lawyer to move forward on this bridge,
What I also do,
Investigate.
what I also will do is when, I've got a couple options on these drawings already, but I'll get us some prospective architects so we can talk about that next meeting,
Is
we
our
can move
lawyer
ahead with
going
the
to know
architect
what
part.
the bridges and stuff are all about?
That's-
He's from the city, he probably don't.
Right now.
And he had to
Still
have an
no.
architect for
And
that.
she said,
I need to finish
Okay.
your motion, everybody keeps interrupting.
Here, here's the lawyer,
To contact a lawyer.
right, about the bridge issue that we have. Cause we don't wanna pay for it. So we shouldn't, he should find out who's
So,
driving.
to investigate ownership of
Bridge.
Castle Road.
Yeah, and why are they jumping in on us?
We can have a motion practically.
Yeah, so,
That probably should be two different motions, so. that's a
we didn't,
long
they,
time.
said, second, he seconded on Ron doing his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said I'll second it, which one you second it? Ron or the bridge?
Oh, you
Do you remember that? She don't remember.
did the bridge.
Are you looking for a second? Is that what
She
it's
did.
written?
You second something, did you second the bridge
She
or
said-
the lawyer?
What do you need?
Ron.
What do you need? What do
It's
you
not
need?
all together?
No, it's two different
Lawyer
lawyers.
about-
He seconded the lawyer for Ron.
So this.
Well, tell me which one is the first one then.
Okay, all right, Pam, ask the question, please.
So Cindy's making a motion, and I need to write it down the way she wants it, so I need to have a chance to write it down. So, to contact the lawyer about the Castle Road Bridge. What about it?
Investigate the true ownership.
Right, the true ownership and why it was assigned to Rich Township,
Or was it assigned?
or was it assigned?
According to them, it was,
Yeah,
but I've never seen any proof to that.
we need some background.
I know there was a lot of talk, and I know there was a lot of fighting going on, but nothing ever got settled.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it never did.
And then who seconded that one?
I second that. All in favor?
So I have you down for support on both of those.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Bev said she would support one. Okay.
Got it? You good?
I believe so.
All right, Ron, you're gonna bless us with some information, some more information. We got no zoning permits. Pam, do you have any correspondence that you need to share? No?
Just that ambulance report that I
Okay.
passed.
And Ron, you said you had some public comment that you wanted to
Yes,
say.
I'm just gonna, I'm gonna stir up the pot here.
Oh,
I want, this is for information only, I don't wanna argue with you, okay? My recommendation is that the board go online and pull up the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act of 1968. Okay, I sat through a budget hearing last month, and it was totally lacking in legalities. And I'm not gonna go into all the things that was in there, but I also got into the audit. and you already got the total net position, but what I wanna present to you is the mosquito millage is 1.85, and it generates $101,000 a year according to what the audit. And right now, the mosquito fund has accumulated almost $300,000, which is 3 years' expenses. Okay? And the board, I found out the board, they're supposed to during the budget hearing, they're supposed to re-up the millage for the year. And I never heard that, okay? And on the audit, there's two things that really stuck out, and I've had my daughter's a CPA, and I had her look at this, and the first one, there was a significant deficiency in the segregation of tasks. And I was upset about that because our audits and our budgets are not very transparent, what we're doing. You voted on the budget, our budget last month with not one figure mentioned. You didn't even do a thumb line of total income and total expenses. None of that was brought up. Also, and one of the things that really bothered me the most is that as of the last audit, the township had $625,162 in uninsured accounts. In other words, they didn't have their money in enough banks. They were way over the FDI insured, so if the bank went belly up, and lo and behold, now in the news, there's 167 banks in the United States that are on the watch list for going belly up. There's 160, and I wish Gary was here, because he's supposed to be the big finance man. But I'm gonna tell you something, Dave, and you're not gonna wanna hear this. According to that Uniform Budget and Accounting Act, the supervisor is the township chief administration officer in charge of preparing the budgets, whether you hire it done or whatever, but you're responsible for putting the budget together.
Where did you get this from? Just curious.
Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act. It says, who is the chief?
What's that called? Uniform what?
Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act.
Now, is this a
On
federal,
page-
is this a federal or
No,
a
it's a
state?
state law.
State law, okay.
And on page 2, it says, it gives the description of the different things that's in the act, and then who's responsible. And the supervisor is responsible for the audit too, but the budget, putting the budget together, gets the information from his different heads, which would be the three of you, and presenting that budget, and then following that budget. And I also found out, and you can read in there, this is my interpretation, but I think you need to check this. When you do this amendments of the budget, that has to be in a new budget hearing. And you have to tell why you're transferring. And just so you know, your net position went up over $226,000 since the last audit. From 2000 audit to 2021, you put over $200-some thousand in the bank that you didn't spend. Some of it's mosquito, some of it's, there's two funds that are mosquito and the cemetery that are not touchable. But I did read in there that if you think you're gonna keep building that mosquito thing up forever, you can actually suspend that millage for 1 year. Give the township citizens a break for 1 year, almost 2 mills. $100-some thousand in the citizen's pocket. Now that's something you have to decide. I'm just pointing that out.
No, I mean, I think that's wonderful. Again, I don't even know how I would access these. I do not have access to these files. I have no access to the software, BSNA. I have zero access.
You don't have to put it together. You can hire King and King. I've got the audit, King and King, but I think King and King puts your budget together. Who puts your budget together? Do you ever do a line item? Do you get together and do a line item?
I do that, and I present a, budget versus actual report a couple months before the end of our fiscal year. And I
I looked at your actual budget for this coming year, and it's balanced within $5,000. Yet you renewed last year's budget, you didn't adjust this year's any. If the budget is supposed to be accurate, as the best estimate you can do. It isn't, well, we'll just throw something out there, and if it doesn't work, we'll amend it. Well, do you amend it out of the general fund, or do you go low and say, we spent less in this line, we can transfer that over and keep the budget the same. We don't have to amend the budget and add more to it. All you're adding to the budget is add to more fund equity. I'm just telling you this thing. What just disturbs me is the audit has never been presented. It's not public knowledge. The only reason we could find it is I had a couple bankers tell me that it's available on the state website. But as far as you presenting, I've never seen the auditor. I've been jumping into these meetings for 3 or 4 years. I've never seen the auditor here. I just sat in an audit last Tuesday night for the Mayville Ambulance Service, which is part of you, and the auditor was there and explained to everybody what it was and what the expenses were.
The auditor will come if we ask him to.
Well, I think he should come and present.
Yes, I think so too.
So there's questions. The other thing with the budget is, it says right in the law that budget is supposed to be sent out and worked on before the budget hearing, so that if there's any questions or they have any, and get a general preliminary budget together and see if there's anything that needs to be changed before the budget hearing. That's not done either. And let me tell you this, I got into this with our attorney about what is being made public mean, okay? And when it comes to ordinance and stuff, being made public means it's on our website. In this day and age, that's what it means. Doesn't mean that 99% of the population of this township doesn't come to these meetings, they don't know what's going on. But if they go onto the website, that means that you're making that public. That's my comment. Can I give you
Our
an
webpage, are we able to, I mean, is it pretty flexible to be able to add things to it? Is this something that,
I email her and ask her to do it, and usually she does it. She never posted our change of meeting. I emailed her 2 weeks ago, and I emailed her again last
Who does that?
She didn't. It's.
Somebody out of
It's
state.
somebody that one of the previous trustees set up, and he worked.
Can I show you something? And it's one page of the audit, it's on a mosquito. And the reason why I had you look at this, my daughter, and she said, well, Dad, I look at them every day. Auditors make mistakes every day. Take a look at this and see if I'm reading this wrong. Accumulated April 1st, 2021 in the mosquito count.
Can we use that mosquito money?
No, you can't.
No, I didn't think so.
There's $287,243 in the mosquito count on April 1st, 2021. Last year, the revenues were $100,684. Expenditures were $93,000. That meant that you spent $7,684 less than you took in. Yet they come down here and say accumulated expenditures over revenues are $294,000. That's an error. That's turned around.
Some of this could have to do with the fact that, it sits in the account until Gary, what
This
do they
is-
call
this
that
is-
with his taxes?
This is from April 20, this is 2 years ago.
What is that?
There was $287,000.
Well, that's what I'm saying is the date.
That's
This is
bullshit.
probably before he transferred the money.
So it's $330 a year and we get eaten alive, and I've only got 2 acres. Well, 4 total.
Yeah, you can't even go outside. That guy goes by our
Can't go outside
house so
with
fast,
breathing.
and nothing is coming out until I stand out there, and as soon as I turn the video on, it's like he sees it, and he'll come back by and go real slow. I'm like, yeah, gotcha.
Every year, they call, if you don't call
It
them,
says
they're
that
gonna spread.
accumulated expenditures.
You know,
Doesn't say
short,
accumulated
they cut you
revenues,
off,
that's
yeah.
just reversed.
I'd fire their ass, find somebody else.
We hear him come by at late
I
at
can't go,
night.
I'd buy a truck and do it.
Yeah, we hear him come by late at
Make
night.
money.
And
The lady that does our
we got
website
this
is one of the
spotlight that's a million candle watt. I shine it right in his eyes.
Go on the record
And then he
to
turns on
volunteer.
his machine.
That's cool.
They pay someone that doesn't even live here.
And when I live in the
They
state,
weren't okay with that.
You got a volunteer here.
I volunteered
Okay,
years ago.
anything else?
They said
A
no.
lot of things to look into, obviously. Anything else you gotta talk about? All right. Cindy, would you do the honors today then?
Oh, yeah, I'm making most of my return.
I will second that, all in favor. All right, well, thanks for coming out, everybody.
Thank you.
Got a lot to think about, lots to investigate.